Shana Tova, welcome back to Tillis Tells Stories for Saturday night, week 176. I'm posting tonight on Thursday night so that the stories can help you prepare for and enjoy the holiday. Although you should consider saving the audio story for Sunday night after Rosh Hashana ends, because that's when the audio story took place. Meanwhile, I'm praying that everyone will be inscribed for a good and sweet year on Rosh Hashana, which starts tomorrow night, and will be locked into it as well on Rosh Hashana the week after. The title of this week's story is Rabbi Levi Yitzchak versus the Satan. Satan is the Hebrew pronunciation of Satan. I translated and adapted the story from the book Elul Tishrei by Mrs. T. Hendel. Subsequently, I included it in my second book, Festivals of the Full Moon. It happened in Berditchov. On the first day of Rosh Hashana, during the cantor's repetition of the Musaf prayer, during the in the shul of the great tzaddik Rabbi Levi Yitzchak. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, one of the more popular rabbis in Hasidic history, was a close disciple of the Maggid of Mizrich, successor to the Baal Shem Tov. He is best known for his love for every Jew and his continual intercession before heaven on their behalf. He passed away on the 25th of the Jewish high holiday month of Tishrei in the year 1810 at age 70. The Rebbe himself was leading the service. His sweet yet powerful voice permeated the shul, stirring the soul strings of all present and churning their emotions. Tears streamed down many faces. Everyone was inspired to pray from the depths of their hearts with much greater focused intensity than usual. Just before Kedusha, when the Rebbe started to intone the prayer that begins with the words La'el La'orech Din, to God who conducts judgment, the tzaddik's voice quivered. A current passed through the room. Every heart pounded as the holiness and seriousness of the occasion seemed to be climaxing. Every person felt as if he was standing at that moment before the throne of glory, and the judge of the world was measuring and weighing their deeds of the past year as his gaze penetrated every heart and secret thought. The Rosh Hashanah judgment was about to emerge. When he came to the words of the final couplets, Lakona Avadav Badin, who acquires his servants through judgment, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak's voice cut off. He stood as if frozen in his place. His face turned white as a sheet. His eyes bulged. As his talit began to slip off his head, it seemed as if his soul had flown to higher realms. All eyes riveted upon the Rebbe. Everyone shook in fear. What will be? What will be? The veteran Hasidim realized that something special must be happening, even if they couldn't perceive it. They concentrated on thoughts of tshuva, of regret and remorse for the past, and good resolve for the future. A few seconds went by. Then the color returned to the tzaddik's face. It was as if he had been restored to life. His face shone. With great joy he called out again, this time with great confidence, Lakona Avodav Badin, who acquires his servants through judgment. At the festival meal after the prayers, one of the elder Hasidim mustered courage and directly queried the Rebbe, "What happened during La'el La'orech Din? Did you see something in the upper worlds?" No one present ever forgot the Rebbe's extraordinary, lengthy reply. "I saw the accuser carrying a huge sack on his back." The accuser is the English translation of Satan. I saw the accuser carrying a huge sack on his back. Right away, I felt uneasy. I realized that it was full of the sins of Jews that had managed to accumulate over the course of the year. I went over and peeked in to see what he had. Let me tell you, it was a full assortment. Some nasty lashon hara, which is slanderous gossip, stinginess, baseless hatred, wasted time that could have been used for Torah study, and so on and so forth. Ad nauseam. Big ones, little ones. The sack was bulging, and the accuser was gleefully galloping towards the divine throne. Oy vey, I thought to myself, what can I possibly do? I couldn't come up with any plan. My spirits sank. Suddenly the accuser stopped short. His sharp eyes had detected a Jew committing a sin on Rosh Hashanah itself, the day of judgment itself. He dropped the sack and jumped off to pick up this juicy new item to top off his collection. As he disappeared from sight, I decided to look in his sack again and get a closer look at what he had. I went over and started examining the different transgressions. I quickly saw that the Jews who had done these things weren't really so guilty. The bitter harshness of the exile, their bleak poverty, the oppressive negative influence of the dominant cultures in which they lived, and other extenuating circumstances all combined to coarsen the children of Israel and seriously weaken their Jewish identity and commitment, until finally they were mired in the filth and unable to resist temptation. Those poor Jews, what could be expected of them? And anyway, how could these puny errors weigh against the callous murder, immorality, and theft in which their host nations had sunk? As I took each particular sin and considered it in the light of these thoughts, it melted in my hand and disappeared as if it had never been. The pile shriveled and shrank, and soon it was all gone. Just then the accuser returned. When his glance took in the empty sack, he shrieked grievously, "Ganavim, thieves, Ganavim! They stole all my Jewish sins that I worked so hard to amass." Then he spotted me. He recognized right away that it must be me that would do something like this to him. He flew over and grabbed me by my beard. Now you should know that when it comes to knowing Torah, the accuser is no slouch. He demanded that I pay him back for what I stole. Not only that, but I was obliged to pay him double, since he caught me in the act. When I answered him that I didn't have anything to pay him with, he quoted the verse, Exodus 22:2, "If the thief can't repay, he is sold into slavery." With that, the accuser seized me firmly and dragged me off to sell me. The first angel we encountered, though, adamantly refused to buy me. A Jewish slave? No way. It's too much responsibility. The angel knew that it would be obligated to feed me and provide me for my other needs, while at the same time having to worry about getting caught in false accusations and other problems. He who acquires a Jewish slave acquires a master for himself, he quoted the Talmud. I wouldn't take him even if he didn't cost any money at all, the angel declared. So the accuser offered me to the next angel that we came upon, and to a third, and to a fourth. No one wanted to buy me. Not one angel was interested at all. Deciding it was hopeless, the accuser took hold of me again and pulled me right up to the throne of glory, and set forth up to the curtain before the throne of glory, and set forth his case before the Almighty himself. When he finished, a voice was heard, "I have made you, and I shall carry you. I shall sustain, and I shall deliver." See Isaiah 46:4. And we recite it in the prayers 3 times a day. "I will buy him from you, O accuser." The Almighty continued, "I will buy him from you, O accuser." The accuser stood slack-jawed. All his complaints were silenced. At this point I revived, as you saw for yourselves. And now you know the explanation of who acquires his servants through judgment. We are all servants of the Almighty, and only by serving him can we escape the clutches of the accuser. So let's do it, concluded the tzaddik dramatically, and in the merit of doing so, surely we shall be ascribed and sealed for good. Amen ve'amen. By the way, another version of this story tells that it took place on Yom Kippur, not Rosh Hashana. If you ever tell it for Yom Kippur, then note that instead of saying during the Musaf prayer of Rosh Hashanah, you should say during the Shachrit prayer for Yom Kippur. And instead of at the festival meal after the prayers, it should be at the festival meal after the fast ended. Also, I know that it is said that just to mention the name of Levi, Yitzchak, or Berditchov on Rosh Hashanah is a segula, is a propitious deed for a favorable judgment and a good and sweet year. How much more telling a Rosh Hashanah story of him?